Today, we're finally going to finish working on our Taito Space Invaders cabaret. How do I know that? Time travel, perhaps? Well, actually, I consulted the Oracle of Future Repairs, also known as me, yesterday, and he said, "Bro, this ends today. Now, will we fix the missing pew-pew sound when the little rocket shoots its teeny tiny missile? Maybe. But first, let's clean this machine so it stops looking like it was pulled out of a tomb. Because it was. Who knows how long the cabinet sat in that old Mississippi warehouse? Decades! Literal geological epochs. Epochs? Epochs? Whatever. But the good news? No signs of rodents turning this thing into a timeshare. We're rat-free and riding high. Carefully removing the bezel glass, like I'm Indiana Jones swapping a sacred idol for a bag of sand, reveals the monitor and its glamorous accessory, the gel overlay, because this is a black and white monitor. Yes, that's right. The original screen had no color, so they just taped a rainbow on it and called it innovation. Back in the 80s, you didn't need real color, you just needed the suggestion of color and a little imagination and possibly lead-based fumes. There's some light paint flaking on the bezel, which of course we'll address with a product called Triple Thick. And yes, it sounds like a milkshake that fights crime, but it's actually a clear coat that locks that vintage paint in place. Unless, of course, the 40-year-old graphics reject your offering and flake anyway out of spite. Vintage arcade games are petty like that. If you think about it, and I do constantly, instead of sleeping, these machines were only meant to last like a year. Maybe 2 tops. They were supposed to flash some lights, take your quarters, and then get yeeted into a dumpster behind the roller rink. And yet, here we are, 45 years later, still talking about it like it's a war veteran. I mean, the only reason this thing survived is because someone shoved it into a barn in the middle of nowhere and said, "This'll be worth money someday," like they were some kind of clairvoyant hoarder. Now, I own a lot of these time-traveling trash boxes, and at least half of them were hermetically sealed in forgotten warehouses. And the other 10%? Oh, they were converted into weird bootleg casino machines with names like Fortune Donkey and Super Karate Dog, which I swear are real. And speaking of my hands, why are they always involved in the dumbest part of the job? I'm trying to reattach this little metal bracket that holds the glass in place, and it turns out it's less of a bracket and more of a cryptic riddle sent from the underworld. It's like if Tetris and a Rubik's Cube had a baby, and then that baby grew up to ruin my Saturday. I came into this thinking, oh, this'll take 5 minutes. And that's adorable, because I forgot. Never underestimate how wrong you can be while holding a screwdriver. Anyway, we're almost done wrestling this thing into place, so stay tuned, because if you're wondering what could possibly top this riveting bracket saga, for some reason, and I don't know why, maybe it's the still vivid memories of junior high mental angst, but I really love when the coin door lights are on in an arcade machine, that glowing red bulb, that insert 25 cents here sticker. That was basically my childhood therapist. I would wander into a dark arcade like a tiny confused raccoon, and those lights would call to me like, "Hey, come here, little man, trade your dreams for Donkey Kong." And I would, because I made $4 an hour in 1989, and I had to make those 16 quarters frickin' last. Now, the coin door lights in this cabinet are 1815 bulbs, which are apparently 14-volt bulbs. The machine runs on 12 volts, but I guess someone in 1980 looked at that and went, "This sounds like a you problem." Luckily, I've got a stash of 12-volt LED bulbs in one of my many parts drawers, which is just a fancy way of saying junk drawers, but with more danger. And installing them, I use a method passed down from generations. I call it Bend It Like Beckham, which, if you're wondering, is where you contort the bulb socket, like you're trying to cheat on a yoga exam until the bulb slides in. Why unscrew something like a normal person when you can bend it into submission, as my grandma used to say before we banned her from electrical work? And just like that, we have glorious, blinding coin door lights. Do they serve any purpose now that the game's on free play forever? Absolutely not. But sometimes it's the little things, like the soft red glow of a machine that helped you find the exit of an arcade so you could go to school and get a B. We're now going to fight the final boss of our Space Invaders restoration, and no, I don't mean a pixelated alien. I mean the missing whoosh sound when you fire your little missile. It's supposed to go whoosh, and instead it goes nothing. Radio silence. The absence of whoosh has been bumming me out more than I care to admit. Like, imagine if Top Gun had no jet noises, just Tom Cruise breathing. No thanks. So, I start diving into schematics like I'm Nicolas Cage in National Treasure. And guess what? Bally Midway made a different version of Space Invaders with a different board and different everything, and apparently a personal vendetta against me. But finally, I find a reference to something called the trigger sound, which, fun fact, is the actual name of the whoosh. I'm not just being dramatic. The manual calls it trigger sound, which sounds like a complex system of marine waterways and basins, but is in fact my new white whale. Now, maybe the issue is with the sound amplifier chips, so I go to Ace Electronics, that magical wonderland where dreams are sold in tiny plastic baggies, and I grab a whole fistful of sound amps. The nerd name for them is LM3900N, which sounds less like a chip and more like a Cold War submarine. And then, get this, there's another chip, the M53217P. That one's normally used in arcade monitors, but apparently in this game it also moonlights as the guy who makes the whoosh sound happen. So I buy one on eBay from a man whose listing photo is just a carpet. Just a beige carpet. But he swears the chip is real, and because I have no impulse control, I believe him. I'm taking the alleged sound-making chip I bought off eBay, yes, the sacred M53217P, and I'm cradling it in my palm like it's Simba in The Lion King as I briskly march past my DeLorean time machine like it's not the most distracting object in a suburban driveway. Now here's the thing. The eBay photo clearly showed two chips. Two! A duet! A pair! But when the package arrived, it only contained a single lonely chip just sitting there scotch taped to a sad piece of cardboard just looking up at me like, where's my brother? So I go back to the listing, and sure enough, buried beneath all the nonsense was this little phrase, 1PC. And yeah, that's apparently shorthand for one unit, but it also happens to be the name of a wildly popular manga that very attractive people are into. So I'm saying One Piece out loud now, in public, just in case it works like a password and someone somewhere will suddenly find me interesting, or not. We're now fully committed to the act of solder-based violence. I've got the solder sucker in one hand, and the look of a man who's about to make a very big mistake with very small consequences. The goal here? To remove not one but two ancient chips that have been sitting on this board longer than I've been sitting on my unresolved childhood trauma. You start with the ritual, a little flux, a little fresh solder, and then you whisper to the board like you're trying to negotiate a hostage release. Come on, buddy, let go. There's new solder now. It's young, it's hot, it listens to Taylor Swift. Don't you want to melt for her instead? But of course, the chip says no. The chip says, I've been here since Reagan, and I will die here, thank you very much. So then you start prying, gently at first, like a liar, and eventually you go full Chaos Goblin and snap it off like you're freeing it from a 40-year contract with the Columbia House Mail Order Music Club. And in the process, you shatter it, you break it, you ruin its retirement plans, and now it's never going to move to Key West. But hey, we're putting in sockets now. So the next sacrificial chip can be removed without a whole Hunger Games scenario. Okay, with the final delicate whispers of solder, like I'm sealing an envelope for a Hogwarts invitation, the two chips are officially in place. They are installed, they are majestic, they are either going to fix the problem or take the entire machine down with them. We pop the board back into the cabinet, flip the power switch like we're defusing a bomb with high hopes and no training, and nothing. Silence. Not a peep, no whoosh, no gentle sonic missile, just the crushing realization that I might have just soldered in the ghost of disappointment. The machine still boots up, so yay for the bare minimum. But the trigger sound, the one thing I've been chasing like it took my wallet, is still missing. It's like trying to contact a spirit with a Ouija board and all it spells out is lol, nope. I throw my hands in the air like I'm trying to hail a cab during an emotional breakdown and start searching for answers, real answers, not the kind where you accidentally join a forum about turnip enthusiasts. My quest leads me to a magical place called UKVac, which is a website where British guys fix arcade machines while eating beans on toast, like that's a real breakfast and not a cry for help. And apparently, according to Sir Reginald of Saldershire, or whoever, I was too quick to replace the second sound amp chip. No. All the drama was happening in chip slot number 1, the Beyonce of the soundboard. So now I'm back in the game with the correct manual for reference this time. Thank you very much. And we're firing up the solder sucker once again, because I apparently live for this now. Only problem? I don't have the right socket, but I do have a socket that's just a little ambitious. It has 2 extra legs like a centipede trying to sneak into a house party. So I do what anyone in the arcade repair community would do. I rip those little legs off and lie to myself about it. This, my friends, is what we call a workaround, and also may be a felony in socket law. Despite my many violations, legal, ethical, and electrical, I managed to jam my slightly Frankensteined socket into the board and solder it in like I'd done this 1,000 times with the confidence of a rat stealing a Pop-Tart. Our last scene in this final act is the installation of the sound amp chip in position 1. Without much effort, I've got it seated where it will hopefully retain all of its magic smoke when we turn on the game. I mean, I'm hoping this chip is the missing link between silence and that sweet, sweet whoosh. And if it's not, I've got more chips. I'll just start replacing everything in what professionals refer to as the shotgun approach and what I refer to as spraying chaos at a circuit board until one of us dies. I gingerly slide the board back into its tiny sideways bunk bed and flip the power switch. And now, we wait. We wait like it's 1982 and our hopes and dreams are booting off a floppy disk. The monitor warms up slowly like a dramatic Groundhog Day reboot. The track screen appears, the aliens descend, and I ask myself, is this it? Is this our final battlefield? Only way to find out. Here we go. And let's listen in. Oh! I hear the whoosh! Listen to that, guys. We did it. This Space Invaders is fully operational, just like the Death Star. I think that we have a party that we need to have. I can't believe it. Wow, success feels fantastic. What are we going to do next? I don't know, but, in the meantime, let's party.